Hi, welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you've been here before. If you have, then you might notice that today's setup is a little bit different. I hadn't planned on doing this video today, but it is one that I've had on my mind for a while, and I didn't have any other videos to film today, so I thought, you know what, maybe now is the time to do this one. So before I get into it, I'd like to just shout out the Artisan Geek, whose video inspired this one. They did a video called It's Taking Me Forever to Graduate, and That's Okay. And when I saw that video, I found it incredibly validating, and I really wish more people would make content like this because I related to it, and it made me feel a lot better about where I am in life. So I thought if I can, put that out there into the world and maybe help somebody else feel better, then I would love to do my part to do that. So that's what we're doing today. I would also just like to recommend the Artisan Geek in general. They also do book videos, so if that's what you're normally interested in, then I will link their channel down below, and I would recommend you checking them out. Hang on. Tea. So I just wanted to kind of talk about my academic journey and how it's taking me longer to graduate and why, and kind of like what I'm doing and where I'm at in life. So I guess I will start at the beginning. When I was 16 years old, I decided I wanted to be a clinical sexologist. And if you don't know what that is, I'll link some resources down below to explain it, but because I don't really have time to get into it here. But when I finished high school, there's a 2-year period between high school and university where I live. It's called CEGEP. So I started my DEC with a major in psychology, and I took some classes in sexuality studies, and I also got a certificate in women and gender studies. When I was applying to university, I had the option to apply to a sexology bachelor's degree at a university near me, but the only thing was that it was in French. And at the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do psychology or really focus on sexology, because I was worried that if I only did sexology, then it might close doors. I might not have the option to treat other kinds of issues, and that it might be really limiting as a clinician. So I decided to do my undergraduate degree in psychology in order to diversify my education as well. So I applied to a university in English and in psychology, a major in psychology and a minor in interdisciplinary studies and sexuality. In addition, while I was there, I did volunteer work at a psychology lab that specialized in research on sexuality. I graduated in honors with distinction. I had a GPA of 3.67 out of 4, which is good, but just shy of being competitive. They say for the most part, if you want to be competitive, you need a GPA of 3.7, which I was 0.3 away from, or 3.8. So while I was good, I wasn't great. I wasn't as good as I could have been. I wasn't the best. And that's something that they don't tell you when you start the degree, because I spent my entire career, basically up until maybe my last year and a bit, thinking that I'm getting A's and B's across the board. And obviously the grading scheme varies class per class, but I'm like, A's and B's, I'm doing good. I only had 1 C my entire academic career, and I really struggled in my second statistics course. But I was like, oh, I'm doing good in my classes, no worries. But they don't tell you until it's probably a bit too late that you really should be aiming for A's across the board if you want to be super competitive for grad school, and just have maybe a couple B's, really not too many though. So that was frustrating. Honestly, even having known that in advance, I don't know how much different my grades would be, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So at that point, when I was finishing up my undergraduate degree, I decided that psychology really wasn't for me, and I was ready to close that door and really focus on sexuality studies, because that's what I was passionate about. So I decided to bite the bullet to apply to the university near me, even though it was in French, my second language, take that risk and do that master's degree. There are other sexology master's degrees available. There's one in Australia, one in the United States, but they're all super expensive for foreign students, like $75,000 a year for the one in Australia, $50,000 a year for the one in the United States, compared to like $1,500 where I live. There are other degrees across the country where I live in Canada. The only thing is that with those ones, they're more theoretical. So they don't train you for clinical practice. They train you more to be a professor, to do research, to write academic articles, etc. So this one program was really like the ideal fit for me. There wasn't really anywhere else I wanted to go to, so this was the only one I applied for. Which you could say is like not the best idea because you're putting all your eggs in one basket, but I have a dream, what can I say? Anyway, so I applied, and in about maybe May 2019, right after the pandemic had started, I got a rejection letter. And they give you a link to email and follow up to see like why you had been rejected. And since my supervisors had been so confident in me and like getting into the program, they were like, "Oh, you're a shoo-in, like you're gonna get in, it'll be great." I was quite surprised. This was the first time I'd ever been rejected from a program because I'm generally a good student. I have pretty good grades, so it came as quite a shock. So I followed up, and they said a couple of things. First of all, yes, GPA is a factor, but it wasn't the only thing. They also said not to feel too bad because I'm competing against a lot of people who either have more than one bachelor's degree, some of them might have master's degrees, so it's normal not to get in on the first try. And in addition, that they heavily favor the students from their bachelor's degree, which is the complete opposite to what it is in psychology. In psychology, they very much want students from other institutions. They will take very few students from their own programs, so this was also very surprising to me. So out of the 25 people that they accept a year, they will only accept like 6 people from outside of the institution. And they had said that if you are missing 30 credits or more from their bachelor's degree, and obviously I hadn't done any of them at this point, that alone was grounds for rejection. Another thing they said was that experience was an asset, so anything I could do to get experience within the field would show them that I'm really dedicated to the field and would help put an edge on my application. So then I asked, okay, how can I start doing these prerequisite classes? And the girl said, listen, I can't get you in for anything in September in the fall semester, but I can get you into one class in the winter if you apply as an independent student. So that's what I did. I applied to be an independent student, and I was able to take one class. It was related to sexology, but within the law department. So I did that. In the meantime, I also have been continuing to do research at the sexuality lab, and I've also taken on 3 other volunteer positions within the field to gain experience. So that semester wrapped up. I took the summer off because there isn't very much offered in the summer, and then around the summer, I messaged and said, hey, I'd like to sign up for some classes for the fall and winter semester. And the academic advisor said, okay, like no problem, but there aren't any spots right now, so wait until August. People will start dropping out, and then there will be spots, and you can message me then, and I will slot you into whatever there's available. Hello, editing Zoe here. I just wanted to mention quickly, because I think it's important for context, that every time I email the academic advising department, I get a different person. And as you'll see, like sometimes the things that these people say like contradict each other. I just think that's important to mention, that I'm not like corresponding with one person, that it's like every time I email, it's a different person who responds. So just thought I'd pop in quickly and mention that. What I didn't realize, as it turns out, is that you cannot sign up for the sexology classes unless you're enrolled in the bachelor's degree. So when August rolled around, she was like, actually, I can't sign you up for any of these courses. So this year, I'm actually not doing any classes. So I'm really just trying to lean into the volunteer work, learn as many things as I can, get as much experience as I can, and then next year I have to sign up for the bachelor's degree. Now my fear is that they're going to try and make me do the entire bachelor's degree, which I'm going to try to avoid because much of that degree overlaps with what I already did in my psychology degree. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get some transferable credits and only have to do like the 10 courses minimum for the 30 credits. And then be able to apply for the master's. So that's something I have to figure out. But in any case, I'm going to apply for next fall. And in the meantime, just continue focusing on my volunteer work. So it's been a long journey, a frustrating one, because if I'd known what I'd known, even when the pandemic started, like I could have just applied right off the bat to a bachelor's degree, and that would have saved me the past 2 years. If I had known when I was applying for my bachelor's degree in the first place, I could have gone straight for the sexology one, and I could have saved myself potentially like 6 years of wasted time. So if you're interested in a program, definitely read the fine print. It's really frustrating because these systems are so hard to navigate, and there's so little information that's given to you until it's too late. Like, I didn't find out about having to get so many letters of recommendation and what that process is like, applying for funding, what that process is like. My university didn't offer a whole ton of support in terms of that kind of thing, or like what is expected of you, asked of you, how to write letters of intent, things like that. Anything related to applying to grad school, there really isn't a whole lot of support that was offered. So that's been really frustrating because if I had gotten into the master's degree first try, this year would have been my last year. I would have been graduating already. So just to know that at this time I could have been done, whereas I haven't even started, is really frustrating. But on the other hand, it's also given me the opportunity to try a whole bunch of things, and it's been a really rewarding experience. And I think I'm actually gaining a lot of knowledge and experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have. So I have mixed feelings about the whole thing because like I've always wanted to volunteer for these kind of things, and I just never had the time during my undergraduate degree because I was working, and I was also doing lab research, so I didn't have the time to do another volunteer position. So that this time has given me the opportunity to do that, and so I'm grateful for that aspect. But on the other hand, I'm tired. Because I volunteered for different organizations for a total of almost 20 hours a week between all of them, and I'm not compensated financially in any way for any of those. So that's been tough. I am blessed and lucky enough to be able to live at home, and my parents are very supportive of my journey through all of this and are willing to support me financially and all of that. I am in the process of trying to get an actual paid job, so that'll add to my plate as well. I am trying to get something that will also, add to my CV, is within my field. Since I do have a bachelor's degree, I'm a little bit tired of working minimum wage retail jobs. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not to put those down or belittle those. I had just expected to, at this point in my life, to be further in my career. So it's frustrating to still be in that kind of position at the age of 25. I just turned 25. On one hand, that's frustrating. And then on the other hand, like I go on my Instagram and there are people my age who are just graduating from their bachelor's degree now, whereas I've been graduated for 2 years and I'm already looking for next steps. And there aren't a ton of people my age where I live who are moved out, but they're starting to trickle. It's starting to happen. People are moving out and starting their careers and moving on with their lives. And it's you can't compare yourself to anybody else because you're on a different journey and your goals are different. And staying in school longer can be an investment that will pay off eventually, but it's also it's mixed feelings, right? There are a lot of emotions with sort of when your expectations for how your life is going to go don't match up with the reality, and that can be really difficult. So I'm trying to be patient with myself. I am trying to realize that there's no due date or timeline for these things, and that it's okay if it takes me longer. But on the other hand, like when you realize that, okay, so I have 1 or 2 years of prerequisite courses, God forbid if I have to do all 4, I really hope I don't. And then another 2 years of a master's degree before you can even start working, and you're like, I'm going to be 30 by the time I can financially afford to move out, which is why I'm, trying to work on getting a better paying job because, as much as I love my parents, I do want to, be able to assert myself as an adult and support myself and live on my own, and as much as it's nice to live here, I do have a good relationship with my parents. I'm lucky enough. It's nice to be able to pay for your own stuff and choose your own place, decorate your house, like I think that's something that a lot of young people dream about. Anyway, so I know that a lot of people can experience setbacks in their educational journey, whether it's they start one program and realize that it's not for them, and then they have to switch programs, and it sets them back in terms of their timeline, or if you have to take your degree at a slower pace because you can't do a full-time course load, whatever the reason is that it's taking you longer than you had initially envisioned to graduate. I just want you to know that you are valid, that you are not alone, and that it's okay to take all of the time you need. So I hope that this video spoke to some of you. I hope it was helpful and that you enjoyed it and that you have a lovely day. You can expect more book videos. I will probably also have another thrift haul coming up in the near future. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.